In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what's for sale. That's right, I'm going to be reviewing the Toronto condo market as I always do, looking at it through the lens of my condo buyers. I survey the market every single day, and I do this many times without recording a video, but I thought you guys might find it interesting as I go through the listings to give you my feedback, my thoughts, my opinions on the buildings, how I view things for my condo buyer. So without any further ado, let's get started, shall we? All right, we have the MLS now called the Realm system open in front of us. Let's just go basically do a more filtered search. We're going to search first and foremost for a client of mine who's looking for a 1 or 1+1 in the Mimico area. We're going to select the municipal codes, which for Mimico is going to be W06. Of course, we're going to be looking at condos, not freehold. Available. We want to not look at sold conditional, and we're looking for a 1 to 1+1, so we're going to select both 1 bedroom. We'll start off by looking at +1s exclusively because that is what's preferred for my client in this case. Parking is nice to have but not necessary. And then price, we're going to go up to $750,000. This is more than what we really actually need, but I'm just curious to see myself. All right, we have a total of 71 results. No surprise, right? 1+1 up to $700,000 is more than enough in W6, which is Mimico. And we have the whole entire list of properties here. So let's go through them one by one, or not one by one, but go through the main items and see which ones I like and what I think might be suitable for my client. Well, on the lower price point, we see this unit in 165 Legion Road, unit 2034, listed for $549,000. This is 1+1. Been on market for 95 days. This is probably a second or third time around on market if I had to guess, knowing what I know about the market. Let's take a look at the listing and then I'll actually go through the thoughts on the building. Probably either owner occupied or tenanted. This is not staging furniture. The views are okay. It's facing the trains, but in this portion of Mimico, at least from my experience, the trains do truly slow down. It is mostly the GO train, not the freight train. Sometimes you do have Canada Rail, but most times, I would say 8 times out of 10, the GO train actually does slow down. And this is pretty high up as well. I really like a lot of floor plans in 165 Legion Road. Decent condition. This blue wall is a bit out of place, not everyone's cup of tea. 580 square feet. At 549, it seems as if they finally come down to reality. The building itself is truly a mixed bag. It's managed actually quite decently well. They're doing renovations at this time. So if you go walk through the hallways, you'll see that, for instance, in the lobby, there's a lot of things that are stripped. It is a very Airbnb heavy building, and there's a lot of people coming and going, like a lot of people with suitcases because of the Airbnb friendly nature of the tower. Despite that, it remains actually one of the only buildings, one of the few buildings that allow Airbnbs, or I'm pretty shameless about allowing Airbnbs, that's actually can give you a decent, quiet lifestyle. Those are rare. It's probably a solid 6.5 out of 10 for me. Of course, you have the sister building, 155 Legion Road, which is pretty much of the same case. This unit is also close to the trains as well, but as I said, the trains here is not the biggest deal. When you enter 165 and 155 Legion Road, they share the same lobby. 155 is down the hallway this way, 165 is down the hallway that way. I know this is very vague directions on video, but for those who have actually visited the buildings, they know. And similar type of layout. I like the previous one a bit more, although I can see how this might appeal to certain other clients, but this is not a good fit for my clients. Once again, the building is pretty Airbnb heavy, and I actually like 165 even more than 155. 70 Annie Craig, this unit in 70 Annie Craig, listed for $589,000. Is probably around the low 600s in terms of square footage. Has the parking. Let's take a look at this one. Let's see, Vita on the Lake. I've talked about this building a million times. Not professional photography, whatever. Has one of these middle of the floor plan rooms. We'll see if that's the +1 or the bed. I'm suspecting that's probably the bed. And it doesn't have that much of a stellar view with these ones in Annie Craig, a 70 Annie Craig. they can have some magnificent, fantastic water views. You guys are probably exhausted about me referring to this video, but I have to. I sold a penthouse in this building. You can find the video of that penthouse. Probably will have the link in the description, and you can find the thumbnail on the screen. This has potential, but just not for my clients. But I do see some very appetizing prices. Like, these are pretty appetizing prices. 20 Shore Breeze. This unit, 1+1, 1 washroom once again, with parking, unit 1105, listed for $639,000. 20 Shore Breeze, to put it mildly, is a building that currently has a RICO complaint against me because I have a very lukewarm review I gave it. If you want to see that lukewarm review, you can find it on my social media channels, but pretty much I just said that it's a pretty good building that was ruined by a lot of residents in terms of, you know, partiers and people operating Airbnbs once again, you know, bottles thrown and constant, you know, accidents happening in the underground parking, pet wastes and such. However, there's a reason why 20 Shore Breeze and 30 Shore Breeze are probably some of the buildings I recommend my buyers to avoid if possible, just in my professional opinion. Please, if you live in these buildings, I already have one RICO case because of my thoughts on it. I don't need another one. And really, you ultimately see that it's the same buildings coming up again, you know, 70 Annie Gregg, 39 Annie Craig, you know, 36 Park Lawn. Obviously, you have the Lakeshore buildings. On the higher price points, you have this unit in 250 Manitoba, the 250 Manitoba unit 709, not to be confused with the newer building 251 Manitoba, which actually is by Empire. It's actually quite decent. I actually like a lot. I listed in one of my more recent videos, condos that are really good fits for first-time home buyers. 250 is a bit of a different story. The hallways are very outdated. It turns off some buyers. It's known for these loft style units with staircases. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those as well. The square footage is around 900 square feet, which is impressive. Once again, this building has these larger units that are 1+1s or 1s. Some of them not even as large as 900, to be fair. Like some of them are around mid 700s. Once again, with the staircase that leads up, and that upstairs portion is where the bedroom is. We'll take a look at this shortly. But this building also, what I know from my contacts inside the building and what I know from my HVAC specialist who runs a pretty prolific HVAC company, this building traditionally has a lot of HVAC issues inside the units. Having said that, if you're looking for something spacious, like the loft style, kind of floor plan, loft style feel with a staircase, and the location is, you know, right across the street from really what we were discussing in terms of the Legion Road, then it could be a good fit. But let's take a look at this unit in specific. It is listed at 719. So let's just look. On a price per square foot basis is pretty good already. And then yeah, you have the lobby here. This unit looks refreshed, to be fair. And you have the staircase that goes up. This is frankly better than a lot of other units I've seen inside this building. At least this staircase kind of turns. The other ones have a straight staircase up. Not to say that's like the biggest deal in the world, but it adds a little bit more sophistication to the property, I would say. And then yeah, upstairs you have the bedding area with the washroom upstairs. Now, another interesting point about this building is that originally when they built it, and this is also applies to 150 Manitoba and the other Manitoba buildings. Once again, not to be confused with 251. That is another building entirely, not a loft style, but 150 Manitoba is also a loft style building as well. I don't believe originally when they built the washrooms on the upstairs portion, they built it with a door. Every door you see was actually installed by someone, the owner. I think how the builder delivered the units to the original owners, they did not deliver the units with doors in the upstairs washroom. But yeah, this is a pretty good choice. This is a pretty good choice. Will I send it to my client? This is one of those borderline edge cases where we have to have a bigger discussion about it, but I think it's worth it for me to send it and for us to consider it. Because at $719,000, 900 square feet, you're buying it well below $1,000 per square foot. If the area is up your alley, you're okay with the higher maintenance, it could be a really good choice. In this case, we have to have further discussions. Before we move on to more listings, guys, don't be shy. Many of my buyers in the last 3 years have actually reached out to me from this channel. You can book a call with me from the link in the description. Furthermore, if you have any selling inquiries as well, we just successfully sold a beautiful unit in 65 scatting. I cannot wait to share that with you guys. But we sold it in just over 4 weeks, which in today's market, 4 weeks sounds long, but it's actually a very short period of time. We got around 15 to 20 showings in 4 weeks. For condos, that's absolutely outstanding. I'm not going to take all the credit for that. It was a beautiful property. I'll take a little bit of credit. So for any selling inquiries as well, or even leasing inquiries, we've assisted 8 tenants so far this year. 8, that's a lot. Get in touch with me. Link in the bio, book a call, book a chat. I will not bite unless you want me to, which then I have to probably charge you. But anyways, let's move on. And now we're gonna look at some 2 bedrooms in North York for a client of mine. We're gonna filter it again. We're gonna do now C7, C14. We're gonna do C15 as well. And then we're gonna go condo, once again available. Yeah, 2 bedrooms. For 2 bedrooms, my clients in this case have a budget up to 900,000. So let's take a look at what is available. Of course, it should go without saying that for that price point, we need a parking spot. And we'll see what we can find. All right, something of interest I'm gonna talk about, which is these address. You see 50 Ann O'Reilly, 50 Ann O'Reilly, 50 Ann O'Reilly. We're gonna also see 60 Ann O'Reilly possibly on this list, and 55 Ann O'Reilly. Something to note about these properties, the Ann O'Reillys built by Tridel. Actually just recently purchased a unit in 55 Ann O'Reilly for a buyer of mine, which was also a 2 bedroom. This unit that I purchased for a client of mine at 55 Ann O'Reilly, unit 1402. It was around 741 square feet. We bought it for $637,000. As you see, yours truly right down there. Why do I bring that up? 50 and 60 Ann O'Reilly, by the way, all 3 are built by Tridel. 60 and 50 Ann O'Reilly have really exorbitant maintenance fees. Whereas 55 Ann O'Reilly is the only one of the 3 that actually has realistic maintenance fees. But really all 3 are pretty suitable for a lot of first-time home buyers or downsizers. It's one of those weird buildings where it actually has a perfect choice for both. However, I would always err on the side of 55. Me and this buyer in specific, which the purchase was really recent at the time of recording of this video, that's why we went for 55 over 60 and 50. And really, these are the only good buildings, I would say, that are kind of east of Leslie or even Don Mills and west of Victoria Park. I mean, in those intersections, not to say they're the only good buildings. You have the Graydon Halls of the world, but these ones are my preferred, especially 55. But anyways, I digress. Let's take a look at this one, for instance, in 50 Ann O'Reilly. It's once again a 2 bedrooms, 2 washrooms. This has $589,000, 700 square feet minimum. It's probably once again in the mid 700s. You can already see that's $846 for maintenance. This is in the mid 700s in terms of square footage. You can already see what I'm talking about in terms of the higher maintenance per square foot. And a couple of years ago, this price for this type of unit would have been an offer night price. I guarantee you that this is not an offer night price. It's most likely what they're trying to, negotiate from. The market is that down, especially when you're offloading something that's, in a building with high maintenance. Building itself, once again, nothing to sneeze at. Pretty good building. I like the lobby. Layouts are pretty decent. I like 60, or rather, I like 55 Ann O'Reilly layouts a bit better, but you could expect these kind of standard Tridel kitchens for the lower price point units. It really is your typical Tridel unit in these lower price points. For 2 bedrooms and 700 square feet at this price point, it is a budgetary option for sure. But you have to be mindful. If you're buying in this building, you have to be mindful. And I'm trying to maybe find a picture here that represents well what I'm saying of the construction that's to eventually come on the northwestern block of these buildings. If you have an exposure that's northwestern, you're going to be facing future construction. That little mini strip mall is going to be built into a tower, or that's what the current application is. 30 Harrison Garden, unit 206. Yet another building I most recently purchased a unit in, and also a 2-bedroom. Not 30, we bought in 28 Harrison Garden. 28 is a bit better. This is for $613,000. Listed for $613,000. Weird pricing, man, though. What is this? 613,999. Okay, buddy. I guess you did something to justify your commission there. But so 800 square feet. Anyways, let's take a look at the pictures here. 2 bedrooms. Let's see what, yeah, outdated for sure, outdated. Now, when we bought our unit in 28 Harrison Garden, by the way, if you guys are watching, hey Farah, hopefully all is well. But when we bought our unit in 28 Harrison Garden, we were looking at a similar type of option. The one we were looking at in 30 Harrison Garden was on a much higher floor. But we went with the 28 one because it had actually very, I wouldn't say traditional layout, but it felt like a home. It had like a home type of layout. And it's not as if it didn't need any work. It did need work, but not as much as this other one. Now, this one we're looking at is lower to the ground. Really good views though. It has good views, that's for sure, of the park, I think. But this needs work. You know, original kitchen, original cabinets, original everything. But this is a good unit. This is definitely a good unit. This has a lot of upside. This is the park, obviously Harrison Garden Park. And when you're buying into the Harrison Garden buildings, there's a lot of options. There's the newer ones, there's the middle-aged ones, there's the ancient ones. 62 Forest Manor, unit 603. This one listed for $649. 2 bedrooms, 2 washrooms. No, thank you. 3237 Bayview Avenue, unit 312, listed for $678,000. 800 square feet to 899. The catch with this building and the units in these buildings is that, first off, this is the only building in like a immediate vicinity. It kind of looks like it popped out of nowhere. And then you most likely will have views of the power lines. It's very hard to find a unit in this building without the views of the power lines. It won't be visible in this picture, but I guarantee you it will have a view of the power lines. There's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of buyers do seem to view that as a turnoff. But some really low price per square foot units to be found in this building. Let's look a bit on the higher price points, shall we? We have this one in Bogurt, unit 803, listed for $699,000. In this case, I do believe this is for offer night. Knowing Bogurt, knowing the building, hey, listen, everyone has some sort of issue with this building. I personally think it's one of those buildings that's a bit overhated. Not a perfect building, not even close. It has its issues, but I think it's suitable for some buyers, and I've sold and bought in this building once again, so I'm speaking from experience. This is offer night price. The unit itself has a lot of potential, actually. This has a lot of potential. Really like the corner unit views, functional layout here. This other sister building, 11 Bogurt, is a better building. This is what you're looking at in this picture is 11 Bogurt. It's a better building than 9 Bogurt, but once again, I like the floor to ceiling windows. I like the brightness. It's going to give you some headaches, this building, but all in all, if you can deal with those headaches, location, this unit itself looks like it has a pretty good floor plan, is worth it. Now, once again, you have to be mindful of the construction that's coming right next to it, which is a mega tower coming right next to 9 Bogurt. 9 Bogurt will be affected more by that construction than 11 Bogurt. And let's see if it's facing that. No, luckily in this case, it's not facing it. It's facing the opposite direction. This unit is 621 Shepherd, unit 705, listed for $828,000. Avoid this building, not a fan at all. By the way, that commentary has nothing to do with the unit itself. It's not that good of a building. And now let's finish up by looking at some downtown condos. All right, so for downtown, we're looking at 1 bedrooms here. So we're gonna click 1. Parking is nice to have, but not necessary. And the budget is gonna be less. It's gonna be the $650. And obviously downtown, we meet C1 and C8. In this case, we want more central. So we're not gonna do, W1 or C2. And this might seem odd to you, but we're gonna also put a price floor because naturally I can guarantee you either the units listed for less than 550 for what we're looking for is going to be either for offer night, which they're going to fail miserably, so let them fail and then we'll get around to them, or they're going to be just shit. And that brings us down to 279 results, so something a little bit more manageable here. Catches my attention immediately. I have had recent experience with this unit or this building. They have these middle of the floor plan bedrooms. 1 bedroom, 1 washroom, $559,000. I just recently purchased a unit in this building that was listed as a 1+1. It was essentially a 2-bed, converted 2-bed though. So this is a pretty good building. I prefer this over 488 University. We're going to be shortlisting this. Another one in 426 University, 1705. Let's take a look at this one. No, too narrow, but can have some promise here. It's just too close to this building. I don't think this is gonna work, but we'll save it just in case. I'm really looking for great value because this particular buyer is looking for more of an investment. They're gonna live in it, but value is a bit more of a top priority. End users, obviously we want value, we want good, but the end users are not typically prioritizing first and foremost a discount. Here we're looking for something that has discount. 35 Bastion. I just purchased a unit in the 35 Bastion as well. I mean, I'm not bragging, guys. It's just coming up. I know these buildings inside and out. There's a reason I am the condo connoisseur. This one looks very promising. 35 Bastion is a really good building. I like it better than some of the Fort York ones. I like it actually better than most of the Fort York ones. What is the proximity? Oh, this is the view, I see. All right, the floor plan is here. This one has promise. This one has promise at $589,000, 683 square feet. This is priced really well. Not to say they can't do more work on the price. I really think you can, but it's not egregious at all. 20 minimum Lincoln Lane is a little too far west for this buyer. I like the building, but it's a little too far west. 1001 Bay is just not what we want right now. It's a good building, but not a good fit for this specific buyer for what they're looking for. 88 Harbor, let's take a look at this one. Way too small, off the bat, way too small. I don't think it's worth looking at it. I mean, this unit is listed for $599,000. At $599,000, below 500 square feet, not suitable for my buyer at this time. This unit, 100 Harbor Unit 2703, listed for $609, 565 square feet. This might be a little bit more suitable. The Harbor buildings have their catches. They don't have a gym inside the building. They don't have visitor parking. Everything is in the adjacent building. This has promise for sure. This does have promise. More work needs to be done on the price here. A little bit of a dark unit, but it definitely has potential. It's probably going to be on the lower end of the list for us, but we're going to add it. All right, guys, so that is it for today's video. Just going through listings for my Toronto condo buyers from Mimico, downtown. I mean, I can be making these videos every day. That'll be a little bit excessive. Thank you very much for watching. There's a lot more exciting content coming out. Let me know if you have any questions specifically with regards to these buildings we discussed in the comments. And I want to do a video where I go through your questions and answer them as a Q&A. So if you're leaving questions and comments and I'm not getting around to it, it's because I'm saving up a bunch for those videos. Thank you very much, sir, for watching. Stay safe, stay tuned, get in touch with me. Any buying, selling, leasing inquiries. Thank you very much.